Hi, everyone. I'm Scott Branley.
And I'm Alicia Coakley. Every member of the church has a story to share, one that can instill faith, invite growth, and inspire others.
On today's episode, we're going to hear how a rare medical diagnosis and a series of miracles taught one woman to follow the promptings of the Spirit fully and immediately. Welcome to Latter-day Lights. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Latter-day Lights. We're so glad you're here with us today. We're really excited to introduce our special guest today, Kaitlynn Smalley, to the show. Welcome, Caitlyn.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for reaching out and offering to come share your story today. We always love, like I've said it before, but we always love when we don't have to do the work. We always love when we just hear from people and we don't have to go find you on our own, and it makes me smile too, because I love when people are brave. So thanks for being brave.
It's taken a little bit to get here, but yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Awesome.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Caitlyn?
I'm 24. I'll be 25 in June. I was born to my amazing parents as the miracle child. I was the baby that brought light during some of the darkest times for my parents. My dad's mom had just passed away, and a few weeks later, they had found out they were pregnant with me, and I'm the one that started it all. I have 5 younger siblings, 3 sisters and 2 brothers. The youngest being 8. She'll be 8 this year. And then because I've been the oldest of all of them, it's kind of brought on a caregiver role for me. And due to that, it's led me down the path of working in healthcare.
Nice.
I graduated high school with my CNA license, and I've worked in a various amount of fields, from nursing to now I work OBGYN for a clinic. I spent most of my time working in the neonatal ICU, and that was just a miracle of itself.
Wow.
I want to start off by saying devastation kind of hit our family in December of 2018. My dad was in an accident while putting away Christmas decorations in our garage, and he fell 30 feet headfirst into some concrete. And
Oh my God.
because of that, it resulted in him having a permanent traumatic brain injury, and that's kind of affected all of me and my siblings. I am married. We come up on 3 years of marriage in May. And I don't know, me and my husband, the way that things brought us together, short of a miracle itself. Yeah. And kind of funny meeting my husband. He was just finishing up nursing school and was working as an LPN over at the VA in Ogden. And that's how we had met. And after the first date, my mom had texted me and she was like, "I know him." And I was like, "Wait, what? You do?" And she was like, "Yeah, he took care of your dad when he was in rehab." And yeah, as our families kind of became closer, we found out that his mom, who is a special ed assistant teacher, she's taught 3 of my siblings.
Wow.
Yeah, our sisters went to high school together, knew each other, graduated together. And it's kind of funny. I was on my way home from work one morning and he texted me and he was like, "Are you following me?" And I was like, "What? Why? No." And he's like, "I swear you're following me." And come to find out we lived about a couple blocks apart from each other this whole time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah.
So is your husband in the medical field too then?
Yeah, he is. He's a registered nurse over at the ER in Layton and at McKee in infusion. So.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Wow. Well, Caitlyn, we want to just give you the floor if that's okay. It sounds like you're kind of starting to share more about your story, and so let's go ahead and switch views, and we'll just let you continue on.
All right. So, back after my dad's accident, because of all the trauma that I had endured through that time, I made the decision to get on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications. I trialed these on and off for about 5-ish years. In June of 2022, I was placed on a medication called lamotrigine by my primary care. At the time, we didn't know that there is a blood level that needs to be monitored while on this medication, due to the chance of having elevated liver enzymes. I was on it for about 6 or 7 weeks, and I had gotten very sick on it, so I was taken off. Um, and of course, at the time, we didn't know anything about it or think anything of it. And then fast forward to December of 22. December 17th, I had gotten sick. I went into Instacare and got told that maybe I caught a nasty stomach bug, or at most appendicitis. Um, at this time, I was on Christmas break from nursing school, and I didn't know that I was never going to go back. So after getting done at the Instacare, I had gone home. I texted my husband, who was working at the time, and I told him, it's fine. If I get worse, I'll let you know. He had about 3-ish hours left of his shift. And I was just going to plan on sleeping through it until he got home and then see how I felt after. Um, couple minutes later, I had this feeling in my chest that I needed to go to the ER. I needed to get checked out. There was something wrong, and I kind of brushed it off. I called my mom, let her know what was going on. And I said, if I get worse, I'll call you and have you take me to the hospital. I went to go lay down again, and again, I felt that prompting in my chest. I need to call my mom. And so I called her for what could have been the last time. I didn't want to inconvenience her. She was working, but she just so happened to be on her way home from work. And she was working in Roy at the time, and me and my husband were living in South Ogden, so not too far. She just hopped on the freeway, came up to get me, and as soon as she opened the door to our apartment, she knew something was wrong. I could not stand up on my own. And her and my sister had to carry me down 3 flights of stairs to the car.
Wow.
I again had told her, hey, if you just want to wait with me for a couple hours while my husband gets home, because again, she's got 5 kids at home that she's got to make dinner for, get ready for school for the morning. And just by the look on her face, she was like, no, we need to go. Yeah, so she had carried me down 3 flights of stairs and we got to the ER. They immediately pulled me back as they knew something was going on. I went to Layton Hospital's ER, and that's where my husband was working at the time. If you don't know the medical field, they're a very, very, very small hospital. McKay, for example, they're a trauma 2 center. We only have 2 trauma 1 centers in Utah, that being the University of Utah and Intermountain Medical down in Murray. And Layton Hospital was a trauma 3. So they didn't really know what to do. So they had pulled me back to one of their trauma rooms and started running blood work. They ran every test possible. The doctor also thought it was appendicitis because my white blood cell count was through the roof, which is a level that monitors inflammation and infection. They waited for some more of my levels to get back, and we had found out that my liver enzymes were in the 2000s. Normal range is 150 to 200 at most.
Wow.
Yikes.
They ran the tests again to make sure they were seeing things right, and between, I want to say it was maybe 10 minutes, give or take, they had gone up to 4,000. And so at that point, they had no idea what to do. They also noticed that my ammonia level was very high. It was in the 400s, and many people fall into comas between 150 and 200. So it
And yours
was,
was 400. It was over double.
yeah, it was over
Oh my
double. And I
gosh.
was coherent. I knew where I was. I knew what was going on. Yeah, the entire staff had no idea where to turn, where to even begin treatment. So they had talked with the hepatology team down at Intermountain Medical, and they decided that it was best to transfer me down there. In the 40-minute drive that it took for me to get from Layton to Murray, my levels had gone up to 8,000. And so they placed me
Oh my
into
gosh.
the trauma ICU. I was put on several medications for like effect reversal medications, preventative medications. They at the time thought that it was a Tylenol overdose, and so they were treating me for that. I wasn't getting
What?
any better within a few hours. I wasn't getting better, and so they started me on dialysis to hopefully um, reverse and flush whatever they could out. Um, I was on it until midnight, and at midnight, the hepatology team came in and told my family that they need to get things in order because they, at that point, had declared me in liver failure and that I wouldn't have
Wow.
made it to morning without needing a transplant. And so they put me on the list with the hopes that anywhere, somewhere could bring in a liver for me. And for the hepatology team, I was on the transplant list the shortest amount of time they've ever seen. I was only on it, I was listed as A1, which is the top tier when it comes to transplant, meaning that anywhere in the country I come first. And
Wow.
I was on that list for 16 hours, and they had gotten a call that they had found a liver. They didn't know the condition of the liver until it had gotten there. And I was rushed into surgery. Come to find out, unfortunately, because of the circumstance I was in and where they needed to get some sort of liver in me to start whatever process to heal my body. The liver was scarred and it was damaged from the person that I had received it from. Um,
Could they still use it or no?
they could. And so, yeah, they had told my family when the liver had gotten in, they gave me less than 5% chance of survival. Um, and I was in
Wow.
surgery for, I want to say it was 6 to 8 hours. And when I came out, they saw effects immediately. My numbers had gone all the way down into the, I want to say between 200 and 400, all the way from 8,000.
Mm.
Yeah, it was crazy. A couple weeks later, they got the biopsies back from my liver, and it came back positive for the antidepressant I was on, which was so surprising because I was off of this medication from July all the way to December. They didn't know that it was still being pooled in my liver. My liver wasn't filtering it out.
Wow.
Mm.
And then as I started to recover, we found out that I am one in 6 people, I believe, to have had a liver transplant due to the side effects of that medication. Um,
Shit.
yeah, it's not been easy. May of 2023, I had started nursing school again, but after the first day, I became ill again, and we found out that I was going into liver rejection, um, which again, they gave me less than 2% chance of survival at that rate. Um, and it was again those promptings that I felt that I needed to be seen. I needed to be checked out. Something wasn't right. And yeah, telling my
Mm-hmm.
husband that something wasn't right. He was again working at the time, so we were living with his parents. Um, because I couldn't be on my own for the first 6 months. And so that pushed us into having to move in with his family. Um, Again, I went to the hospital, and at that point, they had live flighted me back down to Intermountain Medical. Um, and I was put on a billion different medications again, and I came out of it again with, yeah, less than 2% chance of survival.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
at that time,
So did your liver start working again?
yeah, so I was on Tylenol for those first couple of months of recovery, and we found out that the new liver that was transplanted wasn't filtering out Tylenol either. And so that
Mm.
was a Tylenol
Really?
overdose, and thankfully, when I had gotten to the hospital, they were able to get me on um, reversal medication for that, and I was able to recover from that. Um,
Okay.
Again,
Well,
my journey's not been easy in the slightest. Because of everything that went on, my body endured an insane amount of trauma. My stomach and intestinal system has shut down. And so I rely on a feeding tube and IV medications, IV
Oh,
nutrition, and several other medications to just get through day to day life. Um,
jeez.
but yeah, without having those promptings, I would not be here today.
Oh my
I,
goodness.
yeah, divine intervention. That's what my mom says. There's a reason
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
here, and yeah, there's a reason I'm here. And I'm thankful for all the medical technology that we have nowadays, because of everything I deal with already. Um, Being on like tube feeds and everything, I'm able to work as someone else would normally.
Really?
Yeah. So
Is the IV and the stomach issues and stuff that you're having from this, are these like permanent issues? Or are they ones that hopefully will be able to be rectified?
we don't know right now. Um, as of right now, it does seem that things are pretty permanent. But we do have the hope that one day my body will start working again. And I mean, if not, again, there's always medical technology. There's all these blessings that have surrounded me and my family.
Yeah. Oh my
So
goodness. Have you talked to anyone else who's had this experience where where they too have either taken this medication and had this, shutdown of their liver or
Not that I know of. Again, I was like one in 6 people to have a transplant from this medication. But I was able to go back to my primary care and tell him, hey, this is what happened. So now whenever he prescribes those medications, he knows to monitor those blood levels in other people.
Mhm.
So the same thing doesn't happen to them. But yeah, it's been crazy. My life has been full of blessings, full of promptings, and yeah, divine intervention.
Oh my goodness. Can I ask you, like, you said you kind of felt it in your chest, like you just felt this feeling in your chest, but uh, I feel like I speak for a lot of people when we get those promptings, even the strong ones, we have a tendency to rationalize,
Hmm.
right? Like our almost always the first go to for me is, oh, Alicia, you have an overactive imagination. Like
Yeah,
maybe you're being
exactly.
prompted, but like, are you being that prompted, Alicia? Like did you feel like that kind of battle, or like how can you describe a little bit more about like how you really knew that that was just like
Yeah,
as serious as it was?
I did feel that. I am the type of person that will push off anything to the very, very last minute. Um, and yeah, at the time, again, my husband was working. I was not feeling great. I told him I'm fine, it's okay. It's probably the stomach flu. It's probably this, it's probably that. And that was when I had gotten my first prompting to be seen. And that was when I had gone to Instacare. And they didn't, they couldn't really rule out anything. And their advice was to go to the ER as well. Um, I went back home, tried to sleep it off. And again, I just got that feeling in my chest. It felt heavy. It it's a feeling that it's hard to describe, but my chest felt heavy, and yeah, me trying to go back to sleep, my chest was hurting so bad that I couldn't. That was when I felt the need to text my mom. Hey, this is going on. I don't I could probably wait it out. I could I can wait it out until my husband gets home. He would know better than anybody if I would need to go to the ER or not.
Mhm.
Um, and then, yeah, tried to fall back asleep to try and just sleep it off. And again, was prompted to call her that time and tell her that I needed her.
Yeah. And you mentioned when your mom saw you, like she knew too. Did you
Mhm.
talk to her afterwards? Like, did she have any type of promptings, or was it just kind of her, just mom senses, I guess? Or
A little bit of both. Um, it's something that we're trying to work through the trauma of it all still to this day. So it's not something we talk too much about. But she knew when I had called her that I was not doing good. And yeah, when she had her mom senses, and I feel, yeah, promptings herself, instead of going straight home, just taking the curve off the freeway to come up and get me.
Yeah. Um, so when you've talked a lot. I mean, you've had a lot of difficult things happen, but you continually talk about the blessings. So, um, how do you stay positive when all of these things are happening around you and to you?
Um, I will say it's hard to stay positive, especially when, I'm sitting in the doctor's office and they've got nothing but bad news to tell me, or um, that they can't fix what's going on currently. Um, but I just look on the bright side of things. I'm I'm here. I'm able to work. I'm able to help provide with my husband. I'm able to be with family again. Um, I'm able to share my story with others. And yeah, I think that's how I stay positive through it all.
what kind of other blessings have you seen from this? I mean, we have the obvious big miracles of just having your mom be able to get off on time and them finding out what was going on and you being close enough to, you know, a a different hospital that you could go to get the treatment you needed. And then, of course, finding a liver that quickly, even if it was scarred and not in the right condition, like you have these really big miracles. But what are some of those blessings that you've seen since then?
Again, being able to go back to work and again be with my family, be with my husband. Um, the potential of building a family in the future. Yeah, it's definitely all the little small things too.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, Caitlyn, that's it's scary. I mean, it scares me in a way, because you just never know like how fast things can change, and the fact that like, I mean, you were predominantly healthy up until that point, right? Like you didn't have any other signs other than maybe you just didn't feel good
Yeah.
for, was it a couple days or?
It was just overnight.
Oh,
I
like
was
that fast.
I was in school a week prior. I was fine, and then yeah, I wake up one morning and I just feel sick. I couldn't get out of bed. Um, I I slept on the bathroom floor because every movement I would make, I would have the feeling of crap, I'm gonna throw up again. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when it had gotten to the point where I needed to be seen by, yeah, Instacare, I couldn't take a sip of water without throwing that up, and that was when I had decided to go and be seen and just to follow through on those promptings of
Mm-hmm.
hey, there's something going on. There's something wrong. You need to be seen. You need help. There's yeah, there's something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was never really sick as a kid. I yeah, fairly healthy for most of my life.
So what kind of, I guess, moving forward, what kind of things do you have to do? Because you've had a transplant now, so I'm assuming that requires monitoring
Mhm.
or continued blood work or something. Like what does that look like for the next few years for you or longer?
So I follow my transplant team very, very closely. I see them about every 3-ish months. In combination with my GI team. I see my GI team about every 3 months as well. I At the beginning I was having to get blood work done every other day, and then it went to every week, and then every other week, and now I'm just to the point where it's once a month, and it's mostly to monitor, yeah, my liver numbers. I'm on a medication called tacrolimus, and that's a level that needs to be followed as well, just to make sure I don't have too much of it in my body and my body is not processing it the same way the other medications did. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm on anti-rejection medications for the rest of my life. Um, I'm on, yeah, tube feeds and IV nutrition, IV fluids, things like that, uh, for now. Hopefully in the future we can kind of start weaning off of some of the stuff. Um,
Oh.
but yeah, I follow many different teams of healthcare professionals. Um, I see probably about every specialty possible, it feels like.
Wow.
So yeah, GI, cardiology, neurology, um, yeah, hepatology. I also get followed through every once in a while with the kidney doctors that are with my transplant clinic as well. Because some of the medications I am on can be hard on the kidneys. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I'll probably kind of be on that course for the rest of my life, just following very closely with other doctors, other professionals.
Did you get a
This
chance?
at this point in
Oh, go ahead,
oh, go
Scott.
ahead.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, at this point in your life, you've seen all these blessings and miracles happen. How does that affect how you look at life?
That's a good question. Life, it can be taken away in a moment. It's something that you have to embrace. I mean, even just going through everything I went through with my dad and his accident, he was very, very close to death, and so me and him, we resonate with each other very well. And we just realize how precious life is and how quickly it can be taken away.
Mm-hmm. Have you had a chance, or I guess, are you even interested in finding out about the person who donated their liver to you? Like, I don't know what the rules are with that.
So there are rules. I know for the first year, um, if we wanted to contact them, we contact them through my transplant team. So it would be like I'd write a letter, they'd find them, and they'd send that letter out.
Okay.
We've also looked into, now that I'm over 2 years post-op. We've looked into wanting to know more about them. We know a couple things just the the donor itself. So we know that it was a male, because of the size of the liver. It was almost 3 times the size of my liver. They know that he may have made not so great choices in his life that have led up to kind of the scarring that was on the liver. But yeah, we've definitely looked into wanting to find out more and wanting to thank their family personally, because it's not an easy thing to, lose a child, lose a friend, lose a parent. But because of his choice to donate, it saved my life.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I've always struggled. I remember back when I was a teenager and stuff, and they make you fill out that little yes or no, like, do you want to be an organ donor thing? And I remember thinking back as a teenager, I was like, oh, I'm never going to do that, because if I do, and then I get an accident, then they're just going to want to take all my organs. Like, I genuinely believe this, right? And then I had a friend in my 20s who told me, they're like, Alicia, that's not how it works. They're like, they actually try everything possible to keep you alive and to keep you sustained, in the event that if you did pass away, if it didn't work, that you would be able to be viable and to be an organ donor and everything like that. And I just thought about like how, so I know this is kind of on a tangent of your story, but I thought about that, and I thought about how like Christ is the ultimate life giver, like he gave us all this opportunity to live again and to be resurrected, and not only to like physically live again, but to spiritually live again over and over through our trials and our hardships and our sins because of the atonement. And I thought, you know, if being an organ donor can give even one family an opportunity to have someone a little longer, then I feel like that's my responsibility. And so I've thus changed, like now I am an organ donor. But I always, in the back of my mind, I always think about that. I always think about like, oh gosh, like how difficult could that be? Because it's something that you're celebrating. Obviously, like you being able to have that opportunity to live, but it also comes at a cost. Like so great, that someone else is going to lose someone, and that in and of itself can be a very traumatic thing to have to deal with, and a different form of grief. And so I was just curious, like to know, where you're at with that process. But you're open to it. You're open to finding them and seeing if you can say thank you. And
yeah, I mean, it's the least I could do.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Oh my goodness. I'm just not.
How has this affected your faith?
Um, it's definitely affected it greatly. There are more, I will be honest, there are more days than I can count that I have hard days. Um, Even something as simple as, oh, I've got to hook up my tube feeds for the night, or I've got to do a bag of fluids for me to make it through the next day. Um, it's something that's challenged me greatly. There are times where I'm like, why did I go through all of this just to still be suffering? But then it just, it's very hard. It's very hard to explain, but like that feeling. But knowing that, yeah, again, Christ, he suffered for everything that I'm going through, everything that you're going through. Um, I have the faith that, I will be able to have a working body again, whether that be in this life or the next. Um, it's, yeah, definitely something that has grown my faith, and has brought me closer to Christ.
Do you feel like your prayers have changed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, growing up, you have kind of like the little kids in sacrament meeting that want to bear their testimonies, and it's all the same for all of them.
Right.
I kind of felt like that's how it was for a majority of my life, grateful for this day, we're grateful for this, grateful for that. And now it's changed for me personally to I'm grateful for my life and everything that I go through, everything that I'm challenged with, um, everything to go from day to day. It's made me, yeah, very, very grateful for everything.
I love that.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, yeah, like you were saying, you have these struggles that you have to go through every day, but you also get to go through those struggles. I mean, you're here.
Mm-hmm.
You're here today,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to have today, right? Which is an incredible gift. Um, Even though you have to go through those hard things, you're here,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. Well, I assume too that it probably will make you an even better healthcare professional too. Like because
Mm-hmm.
now all of a sudden it really matters. Like it mattered anyway in the beginning when you were going through and you were learning about anatomy and the human body and medications and healthcare and all that kind of stuff. But now it's like you are getting to see it from a perspective of a patient as well, and like a
Mm-hmm.
very dramatic perspective of a patient, not just oh, I broke a leg or something. It's not like this
Yeah.
little thing, it's this huge ongoing thing. I know when I got leukemia, same thing. It was like all of a sudden, like anatomy mattered to me,
Mm-hmm.
and science mattered to me, and medications mattered, and even like the word of wisdom. Like I started thinking, like I really need to learn more about the word of wisdom because I don't know how God designed my body, so I don't even know what to ask for help to fix it.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. And I also feel it's made me more compassionate and more caring towards my patients. Um, Whether I see them one time or a million times over the course of months, it's definitely made me, yeah, feel from a patient standpoint. To say to somebody, I know what you're going through. I've been there before. You'll make it through. You'll find what you need. You'll come across, someone who will address your problems and will find what you need to help you get better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
what are you going to do with this as you move forward? What's your, I mean, let's say big picture 10 years out, where do you see yourself, and how do you see the growth, and what kind of things do you want to do in the next 10 years?
Definitely, yeah, wanting to grow a family and um, kind of being how my mom was to me, caring and being so close to the spirit that she knew there was something wrong as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Having faith to go through all the trials that we endure through this life. Um, yeah, just staying close to my faith and looking at life as at a different perspective is it's not something that's just this simple plan. It's life is something that can be taken away in a moment. And you
Mm-hmm.
really, really have to just cherish every moment possible.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Caitlyn,
Oh.
thank you so much. I really enjoyed this whole episode of yours, and I know it's a little shorter than what our normal episodes are, but I also feel like it was just so like boom, 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 boom. Like you had so much stuff so fast happen, and just the way that like you've come through and where you're at right now. I'm really proud of you for. I don't even know you, but I'm really proud of you for just really trying hard to keep that eternal perspective in mind, despite the way that things look right now. They're not exactly the way that you had imagined or hoped for, but you're still here. You still get to fight. There's a quote, and I can't remember where I read it or heard it from, but they say, life doesn't happen to you; it happens for you. And
Exactly.
I know it's hard to feel that sometimes, but I think you're a beautiful example of just that life is happening for you to be able to learn and to grow and to develop your relationship more with the Savior, and to, really just see the people, the models in your life that you want to live the way that they've lived, to follow their example and everything like that. And I just think it's an amazing thing. So I really hope that you continue to find health and success, and no more big scary things. I don't want that
No.
for you.
Yeah, no more big scary things.
Learn
No
the
more.
lessons easier, but oh.
Yeah, I agree with Alicia. I think your story is very inspiring. The just the positive attitude that you have, and the idea that you feel blessed, and you're constantly talking about being blessed and having all these blessings and miracles in your life. And I'm just very inspired by you. And I think what you've gone through is going to inspire and bless a lot of people's lives. Even though it is a challenge, I
Yeah.
think it's going to you're going, just your personality, you're going to be able to bless a lot of people's lives because you've gone through this, and even inspire them and give them hope.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one last little thing. I had texted my grandparents um, about all of this, and I wanted to kind of get more of an outside perspective of, just my life and everything that I've gone through. And my grandma said, "You're a missionary. You were born to be a missionary, and here you are serving just as the Lord you
No,
would want you to."
I love that.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Well, Caitlyn, thank you so much for coming on here today. We really appreciate you reaching out and sharing your story with us and with the rest of our listeners.
Thanks for having me.
Do you have any last thoughts you'd like to share before we wrap things up?
Um, yeah, just follow the promptings of the Spirit. Follow that divine intervention. There's reasons we go through things. There's reasons that we get put into situations and scenarios. It's to grow our faith, grow our life, and yeah, have more faith in in our Savior.
I love it.
Awesome.
All right. Well, Miss Caitlyn, thank you again for coming on today. We really appreciate you, and thank you to all of our listeners as well for tuning in to Caitlyn's story. We just ask, like we do every Sunday, guys, please make sure you do your 5-second missionary work and share Caitlyn's story. You never know who needs to hear it and who can be inspired by it. And even something as big as maybe someone's life will be saved from it. You know, maybe they'll hear the story and it'll be the thing that clicks in their head when they need to follow the Spirit and they're being stubborn like I do. And they, keep trying to justify it's not that. So you just never know. Definitely share Kaitlyn's story, and then just leave a little message for her and let her know what you guys thought was your favorite part of her story.
Yeah. And if you have a story of your own, you'd like to share it, go to latterdaylights.com and let's have you on the show. So thanks again, Caitlyn, for being on. And thanks everybody for tuning in to hear Kaitlyn's story. And we will talk to you next week with another story from Latter Day Lights. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.